us, success is measured in the things that you take for granted. Wherever you go, whatever you do, we protect you every step of the way. We're there to fight the shadows when a light switch is turned on, and do our best to ensure your morning cup is as sweet as ever. Although we only clean out communications, we help millions of dishes to come out sparkling clean every day, all over the world. Our technology is out there 24/7. On your way to work, by bus or train. Or driving a car built by one of our clients. The lessons that we've learned over the years ensure that you get that hard-earned degree. We keep out the bad news when breaking stories happen. And our defense is the best in the game. Our technology protects the world's financial markets and stands guard for you, whether you book a night at the Ritz or arrive safely at major airports around the world. We help that great deal you found on eBay not to turn out a lot costlier than what you bargained for. And relieve unnecessary headaches when you contact your doctor. The security solutions we provide to more than 100,000 customers in every corner of the world enable the world to keep on beating. Check Point. We secure the internet. We secure your day.
So for our final presentation of this first part of the morning, it's my pleasure to introduce Ammon Bar-Lev. Ammon, please join me on stage and give us the opportunity to take a little bit of a step back and see how we can build a security strategy leveraging 3D security. Ammon.
So I'm going to talk about the vulnerable world. I think 2011 has really been the year of security. Today we're going to take one very interesting example and a case study of an attack being on a corporate called HP Gary. What's fascinating about this specific attack is that in this time it's an attack done by Anonymous, and Anonymous actually revealed everything that happened in that attack, every email, every pizza they did. So that's a unique opportunity to look on things from both sides, so it's not only the one that's been attacked, but also the hacker actually show up what's going on. I'll give you just a highlight of it. And I'll try to take those lessons out of it and convert them into this high-level advice for corporate who wants to implement their security strategy using a 3D security approach. So the first thing I did, I was looking at different attacks here. I collected, there's a website that you can see on a monthly basis, all the new attacks coming over. You see I collected something from August last year up to April this year, actually this month. As you can see by the flags, you might not be able to read everything here. It's all over the world. It's not one specific places. I can indicate a couple of very interesting attacks. One of them is to the left side in the Netherlands, attack called DigiNoir. DigiNoir is a certificate authority being hacked, probably from the east. Somebody wants to read Gmail that were SSL, so they penetrate into a certificate authority in the Netherlands, actually caused the Dutch government to say, please don't use our website. We don't know if it's phishing anymore or not. You can see here cases for a Microsoft store in India being hacked. You can see things in China by Anonymous. NASA been hacked like 5 times in the last year. They even revealed some of it. So again, all over the world, and I can come up with a much longer list. Second thing that happened in security, And a major change out there is what happened with critical infrastructure. I think that's a trend that you're just seeing right now. We'll continue to see that in the next couple of years. It became a major issue. Most of the small controllers out there for electricity, for water, for trains, for any transportation, things that really relate to our daily lives, are all today more and more running IP, which is SCADA, which is their protocol on top of IP. For one side, so the system became open, meaning they became much more vulnerable. And the second thing that happened was Stuxnet. Stuxnet was the attack on the nuclear plant in Iran that actually demonstrated a system with a critical infrastructure that was not connected to the internet, and although it was not connected to the internet, it was totally compromised. When you think about it, you can understand that the same thing, exactly the same thing can happen on power plant. And tomorrow morning there will not be electricity anymore. People start to understand that that's a major thing that happens. We already see things. We see a huge electricity shutdown in Brazil. We saw things in Texas. So we see more and more things, even government now investing much more in protecting and probably doing other stuff as well on that place. We have different offerings for this critical infrastructure, and I think we're going to see more yet to come. So that was the second thing that will change. The third one was motivation. If you're looking back like 10 years ago, it was mostly hackers trying to get into a system. It was mostly a challenge for people who want to be challenged to see how can they penetrate into the system. It moved to be mostly financial gain. People try to cheat and to steal money. Sometimes it's more of a commercial secret and commercial espionage. But now it's also moved to a political reason. So one of them is anonymous, which I'm not sure what is the motivation, but the motivation is really somewhere in the political aspects. And then it goes up to governments. And I think that's totally changed the landscape. If you look in different methods of attack, that also changed. It's not anymore about hacking purely. Malware has developed dramatically from being just viruses into bots and APTs and many other things that happen. We see more and more social engineering. I'll talk a bit more about social engineering. I'm going to give you a couple of examples there. That's especially for targeted attack, we see more things happen in that way. I want to give you a couple of examples about tools. So that's a very interesting tool called Blackhole, made in Russia. I decided to take a screenshot of the Russian one, but don't worry if you want to use it. There's also a full GUI in English for the one who wants to use that. Basically, it's a collection. It's the largest collection today of exploit on a browser that people can use. So hackers don't necessarily have to develop it from scratch. As you can see, they have a SaaS model. So you pay per year or per use. You can call them and get specific one time. And when you do that, usually people get an ad into a website, they click on that ad, it will direct to somewhere that will actually jeopardize their computer by going into exploit existing exploit that's happening on their website. So that's like one example. I want to move to the next one. Gil mentioned that before, bots, and bots became a critical issue. One evidence for that is that one of them is this Mariposa here that actually affected about 50% of the Fortune 100. Roughly, the estimation is 80% of spam in the world today are happening because of bots. And the one below there is DDL4. It's just a network that connects about 4.5 million computers that can do many, many stuff. So what they can do, that's another tool that you can get in the internet. You see we have a very nice marketing guy called Gbot. If you think what you see there, on the side, you can get your own IP. There's prices here, just to let you know, if somebody is interested. Online bots is $75, bots per day is $119, and bots that's for an hour, $119, and per day is $350. So quite compelling value proposition. You can see all the bots, and you can see what the country are, and you can run them by the hour and decide what you want to do with them. You can decide which kind of attack you're going to do with that. A UDP, a TCP, or whatever you decide that you want to do out there. Another very interesting tool that's also coming from Russia, as you can see it's written here from Russia and Latin. That's another bot and another botnet, focusing mostly on denial of service. Very impressive. They have central management. Very good support. You see, it's called amazing support. Very impressive. Somebody needs that. It's all of us when we take some software we would like to get a good support. They have a modular approach. I tend to think that they basically took our idea about software blades. It's like a full modular approach, and it's really a professional software. So people actually can go out there, get their software, start running bots, and decide to attack different places and different dealers. They can have more and more attack using the same infrastructure. It's all there. It's all there in the internet. It took me a long time to find most of it. That calls me to the definition people tend to call APT, or Advanced Persistent Threats, which is, I try to understand what's the difference between different things here. And the idea is that there are many vectors, as you mentioned before, that are continue to operate until there is a breach to a computer. We hear a lot about APTs, and different things happen. It could be a bot, it could be a malware, a combination of direct hacking. All of it is happening to us. And we're looking at the enterprises, we see there's a lot of pressure into them, right? So from the above, I put the one from external. It could be advanced persistent threats, it could be botnet, it could be just Activision in different ways. And in below, I put things that happen inside the organization, data leakage and social engineering, and of course, policy violation. By the way, most of the things that we see from organization within inside are not done deliberately because people want to harm the organization. Most of the employees want to help the organization. But they either not familiar with the policy, or there's no policy, or they're just doing mistakes. We see that purely all the time. So once we understand that the world is vulnerable, the next step would be, let's understand what are the sources of vulnerabilities, and then we might be able to protect them. So I try to separate the world into two kind of vulnerabilities. One is the human part, the other one is the technology. That's from a very high level. Let's talk about the human part. First, people don't read policies. We have to admit with ourselves. I mean, you can ask yourself, what was the last time that you read the security policy of your organization? You might be even smarter than that. Ask yourself, do I have really a security policy, or do I have a check mark on the compliance stuff that I need to do, and I have a big book on the shelf? So either you don't really have a practical policy, even if you had that, you usually don't read it. By nature, you want to work, you want to do your job. Your job is not about reading policies necessarily. That's all. That's all those, it's coming over. People click and then think. The example over here, by the way, it's written there. I don't know if you see the 2011 recruiting plan. That's the email, the compromised RSA. So you click on that and get affected. So it used to be with viruses, and people get educated there. But now we see malware and botnets happening through email or through website that you just by downloading to a different website. So that's something we see all the time. People are social. That's facts. That's good. I'm very happy that we are social animals. But there's two things that we need to be aware of. One, in many cases when there is any information out there delivered, somewhere immediately you lose control. People start sending it all over. You don't control anymore where your data is once it goes out. And the second thing that happened with us being so social, especially in the cyber area, is the fact that we now publish a lot of information about ourselves. And I can take each and every one in this audience and spend a couple of hours, and I'll know quite a lot about them. I will look at LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, whatever network you're using, and I'll understand where does it work, who are the peers, and think about the fact that you just posted Facebook that you bought a great gadget at whatever, Apple Store or Best Buy. And then you're going to get tomorrow an email from Best Buy saying thank you for shopping at us. Please see our new amazing catalog. You just click on there and you'll be infected. So it really made us to a place where it's very easy to do profiling of people and then allow to do targeted attacks. We also tend to lose data. That's an example of somebody losing his laptop. All what he wants to do is get it back. He doesn't care if somebody steals it or not. And surprisingly or not, there's a survey done by Dell showing these amazing numbers of over 12,000 laptops being lost or stolen in the US airports every week. It's actually 12,251 if I'm not mistaken. So that's like a really unbelievable number, how many things we are losing. And I think right now with smartphone and everything there, we're probably losing much more. So that was about the people, the human part. Let's talk about technologies. people usually ask us, why technology is so vulnerable? What's going on there? And the answer is quite simple. Technology is very complex. If you look at how many lines of code is written in order to create a PowerPoint, or a mail server, or a web server, or Excel, it's huge. And complexity leads to vulnerabilities that usually lead us to patch systems. So that's what we get on Patch Tuesday. It's the last Tuesday of the month by Microsoft, all the list of vulnerabilities we need to patch. And we get these small pop-ups, right, saying, please restart your computers. And you can again ask yourself, how many times do you really stop everything and restart your computer? Usually you continue to work, it's my experience. And I hope at the evening time or tomorrow or next week I'm going to do something about it and restart my computers. So as long as you didn't restart your computers, you're open for vulnerabilities that everybody knows about. It's been published out there. So if a hacker tried to get in and you didn't patch it, it's there. Same things happen on servers and so forth, and I'm going to give you an example like that. So not only that we have this complex software with a lot of vulnerabilities that need to be patched, we take that all stuff and put it into a mobile devices more and more and more and get it outside of the organization. So that's what we see mostly in technology. So I want to take that overall vulnerabilities and I want to demonstrate a specific case that happened. As I mentioned before, a company called HB Gary. HB Gary is a security consulting firm. They have a subsidiary called HB Gary Federal, work mostly with the federal organizations. And their CEO announced in February 5th, 2011 that he's basically going to nail Anonymous. He found out who are the testing Anonymous. What they did a tool that allowed them to look at social media, finding some evidence about who are the people from Anonymous. There's a guy called Ammon Bar, and I'm going to talk mostly about Ammon Bar. Anonymous say that they're going to attack HB Gary, and especially HB Gary Federals. And they actually target 3 areas. They go to the corporate sites. They're going specifically for HB Gary Federal, and they're going to try to hack into a discussion forum. It's actually a big server that contains rootkit, meaning security vulnerability software out there that people are sharing information about. It was a big community that worked under that specific forum. So the first thing was HB Gary Federal. What they try to do is to penetrate there. It was quite straightforward. What they have is a content management system that was quite old on the website itself. You see, it's quite easy to penetrate it. What they did there is an attack called SQL injection, which is basically there's places where you could put values in different places, right? On a website, they inject other parameter into that. Actually cause the back office, the front office to fall down. You get access to the back office, including database of admin and everybody else. And basically allow them to get emails, they get names, passwords from the website. Quite straightforward. The good stuff was that the password had been encrypted, so that was a bit more difficult. But the problematic part was that the passwords were very, very simple. And not a strong password. As you can see, CEO have this amazing creative password of PW123. CEO, that was a bit more creative with his kids, so it's Sesame1. Not capital letters, small amount of letters allow them really to penetrate into that. So that was not so good. But it became even worse because what happened is they're using the same password all over. Inside and outside the systems, Gmail, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever it is, and allow afterwards Anonymous to jeopardize other areas as well. So very soft passwords, and that been used everywhere. The next step was to go to the support at hbgary.com. The system there was not patched for 5 months. Again, it's a known vulnerability. It's nothing that it's not a brain surgery. It's sophisticated, but not that much. You just go and read about vulnerabilities for that specific operating system, allow them to penetrate in. You use that, and you're just going out there and jeopardize that system. The third part, after they actually get the corporate side and the government one on federal, third one is the most interesting one, because Anonymous actually revealed how things happen over here with specific emails. So what they knew that there was a guy called Juicy, actually working at Nokia. He had root access to the system, so he knew that they want to use him in order to penetrate the system. They had some ideas about what might be the password, but they were not sure about it. And now, what I'm going to show you is not all the chains of email, but some emails that are happening over there. So, the first email was sent to Juicy by Greg, somebody pretended to be Greg, and saying, look, I'm traveling right now, I'm in Germany, do me a favor, just drop off the firewall because I can't get in and open me a specific port, quite straightforward. So Juicy is a great guy. He just needs some more information in order to help you. So he said, do you have a public IP or a private one? Just drop the firewall. What do you exactly need from me? And I said, yeah, please just drop the firewall and also, change my password. Just change it to change B123 and then I can go in and give me a public IP. Juicy has a great support. Okay, he said, yeah, no problem. This is the port, it's open for you. I also changed the password. So shoot me an email if you need anything. And by the way, I'm in Finland, so if we want to meet later this week, it would be great to have dinner together. So everything been open, quite straightforward out there. It was very supportive, and that they actually did some tests in order to make sure that it's working correctly, and just dropping out. By the end of the day, again, they said something is wrong. There was another email from you saying, hey, I see something happening on the high-end ports. Could you tell me what's going on over there? Didn't get any answer, but that was too late. 2 days after, on Twitter, that was posted on Twitter on behalf of Ammon Bar, the CEO. On the website, see, konnichiwa from Anonymous, and not such a great compliment for Ammon Bar. On their website, that's the website of HPG. Substantial amount of email being exposed outside of the company, everything goes to the press. And that's a big, juicy part about what was on different emails that have been exposed from HPG, how they consult their customers, what they want to do with WikiLeaks and so forth. But all of it being out there, really at the internet. The last thing was RSA. HPG was supposed to present the RSA in 2011 in San Francisco. They actually been hacked even physically to the attack the day before. They actually closed the boot. They dropped from their performance. There was supposed to be speakers there. And that's the note that we can't treat it, but it just basically said, we've been hacked, we can't do much about it, and we just drop everything we do. Last thing was that the CEO resigned, and some of the company being sold. So what do we have in total? We have a web application with SQL injection, very cool password, and really reused one. Systems that were not patched, and really amazing and astonishing willingness really to hand out credentials over email. There's not much of a questions. Overall, they use standard, well-known technique. I have to admit that they were very effective and it was very well executed, but there was nothing new there. It's not like creating stacks or something like that. So it's there. As we mentioned before, there are enough controls today that can solve substantial, can protect you against substantial amount of the attacks going out there. So what's the lesson learned? Until now we learned that it's not so safe. It continues not to be safe. We know that it's not new for us. It's a constant journey that we need to take. We for sure need technology. Technology is very, very important. And as a technology vendor, I'm saying that it's not enough. We need more than technology. And that's lead me to basically 5 steps that I would recommend customers when they want to implement 3D security. The first one is a policy. So what we need basically, we need a coherent and understandable policies. Something that everybody can understand, that relate to our daily life. It's very, very crucial. In order to create a policy, you see, at the beginning you need to start speaking in a language that all of us can understand. And I took this example of substantial amount of log access that you have out there. So when your logs looks like that, and some of you can understand it, it's very techy. You don't speak in the right language, and you can't really translate that into a policy that everybody can understand. But what will happen if it's going to look like that? And that is a screenshot from our application control. When you move really data into something which is simple and meaningful, and you can understand what people are doing inside your organization. You understand which application they're actually using, who is the user, and which application he's using. And now you can define a policy that all of us can understand. You might say, I don't want to run peer-to-peer application in the network. That's quite straightforward. You need to define really who can do what from which location, on which media, and on which data. If you do that correctly, you have most of it out there. We'd be very happy to help you define policies and give you our best practices, both policy inside the organization, that's an example for our policies. Both, we have a section for administrators when they want to build their own security technology part, but also for each and every individual in the company, so we'll be happy to share it with you. And again, I'm going to go back to HPGary, 2 places on policies, very straightforward. A password policy, saying that you need to have a strong policy. You cannot use the same policy all over, and especially not outside the organization. And the second thing is here is a remote access policy. How can you access different areas? Maybe you can't access to this rootkit forum unless you're on the VPN or unless you're on the LAN or whatever it is. Those 2 things, very straightforward, that the policy might solve the problem. The second thing is awareness and education. It's not enough to have a policy. You really need to make sure you educate people. They really understand what they need to do. It's an ongoing training that you need to do. So you start by every employee coming to a company needs to go through a training and a test. This is something we do at Check Point. I took just one of them. The simple question here is, would you leave your laptop in the car? My answer, by the way, is really depending on the car. If it's a good car, I'll leave it there. If it's a better one, never mind. But that's really practical approach that affects our daily life. But it's not enough to do this first-time training. You need to do something on an ongoing basis. It has to be part of our daily life, because think for yourself. You might work 1, 2, 3, 10 years in a company. You did it once. All technology changed, your role changed, your access to things changed. It's an ongoing changes, and you don't go backwards. So you need something that security will really interact with you. We give that example, something that was presented last year. You try sometimes to go to a place and you can't. You don't know what to do next. We come up with this user check technology, which I think is very crucial. We're implementing today user check technology on DLP, on the URL filtering and on application control, where we actually empower the user to take a decision. We also let him know on the fly that he's about to violate the policy. Okay, so this is, in this case, it's from a DLP alert saying, hey, you're about to send customer transactions information. Are you sure you want to do that? Now, it might be a mistake. You can just block it out. You might send it to Gmail because you want to work from home. You can understand it's a mistake. You cannot do that. You will drop it off. You just discard it. Or there's a good reason. So he might say, yes, please send it. He needs to write a reason. Now we empowered him. We have a meaningful log, and we didn't block the business. So that's part of the things that we need to do. And if again, I'll go back to these HPGary cases. When there was this email with the password, very simple email that we scanned it on the DLP, said, hey, you're not allowed to get password outside, and there was a pop-up saying, are you sure you want to send this email? Maybe you would step back and understand that it's really violating your policy. So that was the 2 parts of the human part. Now I'm going to talk more about the technology part. The first one is prevention. One thing that I still see in many, many customers' environment is detection systems. And the problematic part about detection systems is that it does not protect you. It's great systems. It tells you a lot of stuff. It doesn't protect you. We usually don't use prevention because we're afraid it will hurt the business. But we need to secure the business, and I think we don't think long-term if we just do detection. Again, it generates substantial amount of data. Mostly nobody reads that, and again, be fair with yourself how many times you go out and read all the logs coming from IPS or different other technology that we have out there. We believe in being in line. Firewall by nature, at the very basic things that we do in security on the gateway, it's an inline, otherwise it does not have any effect. So it really has to be inline. For example, on IPS, one SQL injection in HPGary could have been solved if you're just using an IPS, not an IDS, of course. And have you seen that actually within 2 days everything was jeopardized. So when you have it in IDS and you're going to read it in 1 or 2 or 10 days, nothing will happen over there. And the second thing was the system, the support one, that's been hacked out there. We have the largest coverage for Microsoft and Adobe vulnerabilities. So the system is behind an IPS. It would have been protected even if it was not patched. That's very, very important. It's not enough just to have one layer of protection. It's not enough to have just one prevention. We need to create a multiple layer one. I took 2 examples. One is about malware, one is about data. To show you all the things that you need to implement it. And think about physical security. It's exactly the same idea, right? You come into a building, there will be a guard. And there will be a reception. There will be a key to the door. There might be bars on the windows. So multiple layers of protections. And as you can see, attacks being involved all the time. So it's not just one specific things. It's really like this onion that have more and more layers out there. The architecture of software grade really allow you not just to invest substantial about more and more system out there, but to consider that multiple layer of prevention and activate